if you heard, but we'll spotlight you after your intro and we settle in, and Morgan and I will be off camera, but we'll be here as needed.
Great.
Okay. We are live on Facebook and YouTube, and I'll start letting people in and we'll get rolling. Hello, friends. Good to see you all as your little photos and videos start to pop up. See the names and the faces, and great to have you all here. Now, actually, I see a name that I don't know who it is, and a face that, oh no, I think, who is HESAND01? You're over there. You put your mic on. Can you put the mic on?
Mute. Hans Sander, Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay, awesome. I thought, yeah. Okay, good to have you back.
Thank you.
Yeah, good to see you. Sophia over here. Great to have you here. Other people called, oh, Lou Dalbaney's popping in. Awesome. It's good to have the NBSS crew representing. Alan Eder, I see, is here. Jim Kelly. Great stuff. Pooja's here to keep things running smoothly. All right. Well, I will give an intro to today's session, and then we'll get rolling. So it's great to have you all here, and we'll get things rocking and rolling here. Okay, so welcome to Piano Tech Radio Hour. We gather here every Saturday to meet with and learn from the most we'll call them fascinating, I guess, today. Fascinating and knowledgeable folks in the piano world. We're talking about manufacturers, rebuilders, musicians, even makers of other instruments, and of course, piano techs. Our mutual goal is to become better at our craft, helping each other, and to create an even more musical world together. Piano Tech Radio Hour is brought to you by Piano Technicians Master Classes. That's an online learning resource that brings you cutting-edge instruction from piano industry masters without leaving your home. And you can find out more about that at pianotechniciansmasterclass.com. And I'm here with my co-host, Morgan Cowell, out there in Nebraska, holding down the fort for the Midwest piano, and spreading his wing to other endeavors as well. And our guest today is Larry Lobel. Now, Larry earned his Bachelor of Arts in Music from Hunter College, NYC in 1971. He went ahead to study piano tech with Robert Fairchild and Steve Fairchild Sr. in 1972. Larry joined the PTG for 1 year at that time. And then he went to work for Yamaha dealers, rebuilding shops, Aeolian Corporation, International Piano Archive, trained with David Stanwood as a licensed precision touch design installer. Finally, in 2000, Larry rejoined PTG after a lapse of a quarter century and passed RPT exams on his first try. Then he served as San Francisco chapter secretary, VP and president. Larry attended Yamaha Little Red Schoolhouse, Steinway Academies in Oberlin, Ohio, and the New York factory. He also toured Chinese piano factories while chair of the PTG International Relations Committee. He's been independent piano tech most of his career until age 60. He was offered the piano tech spot at the newly opened Green Music Center at Sonoma State University and for Santa Rosa Symphony. Larry is also a piano tech for Skywalker Sound. And I'll bring him and me and Morgan here on the spotlight. And we'll have to let a few more stragglers in that showed up as well. And if you are curious about some of those details from his intro, we did go over a couple of them last week, which is kind of fun, just kind of finding out about his journey in the PTG, what he can and can't share about the secrets of Skywalker Sound. and that was a fun convo. And he's back by popular demand. Again, our last session was a few weeks ago. He started covering the comparison and contrasting between New York and Hamburg Steinway pianos. And he's here to give us a little bit more of that and take us where the wind goes as well in his content. So welcome, Larry.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Awesome. Good to have you here. And Morgan has been on vacay here for a couple of weeks, so we haven't seen him. He's looking a little tan. That makes sense. That makes sense. I'm imagining you kicking back on a beach with a pina colada, but I don't know if that's actually what happened.
That did happen, yeah.
There
I'm
you
Irish
go.
and German, so I had to be careful with how much time I spent outside, but I did see the sun.
There you go. All right. Well, I don't know. Have you met Larry before, one-on-one, or any knowledge or experience with him?
I only know his reputation. We haven't met personally.
Oh, so we got to be careful. Your reputation, Larry, has been rolling around the industry here. I'm sure it's all good. Yeah, cool. Well, some more people rolling in. What's that?
It depends who you talk to.
Depends on who you talk to. It does. I'm remembering. Yeah. Anyways, we have our various sessions that are somewhat controversial among piano techs, which is a good thing. We all have this is an avenue for healthy debate and the pursuit of higher knowledge. So,
well, I may be entering the field of controversialness today too.
Yes. Okay, very cool. Well, anything else you want to chit chat about before we hand it over to you with your kind of prepped content?
Yeah, before I go into the slides and finish up the Steinway comparison that I started last time, I wanted to make some general comments to make sure that this is a part of the presentation. Last time I had no awareness of the time passing, and I had no idea how long it was going to take to get through all of these slides. So just want to say a few things to make sure I get to this. And it's about the controversy about New York versus Hamburg Steinway and other controversies surrounding the Steinway company. I had the good fortune to get to work on two brand new Steinway concert grands that were bought by the concert hall shortly after I started working there. I got to be their caretaker from day one. And so I got to know them pretty well, and the differences between them became pretty apparent. The Steinway company for years has been saying there's no difference whatsoever between New York and Hamburg Steinways. They've been selling that line to customers and technicians for decades. Customers, being less knowledgeable, may believe it. Technicians know otherwise. But Steinway has been making an effort to bring the two on a par and make them more equal. And I think they've been successful with that to some extent. And whether one is better than the other, that's really a subjective judgment of personal preference. But there are quality differences that technicians see and we can't ignore. So it's impossible not to talk about them from the technician standpoint and not recognize these differences.
Any thoughts about the reasoning behind not wanting to make them seem like different instruments that you could share? Like, what's the advantage of that?
Well, I think it all boils down to how it would affect sales. I think Steinway wanted to have the pianos that were manufactured in New York be sold exclusively in North America and South America, and the ones manufactured in Hamburg to be sold in Europe and Asia. So if buyers think that one is superior to the other, they start asking for pianos that are made outside of their geographical area. That creates problems for the company. And then I think it's just a matter of the company wanting everybody to believe that every Steinway is the best piano ever made. So
That makes
So would the
sense.
reverse be true then in like Germany? Like if you're trying to get a New York Steinway in Germany, would that be difficult for the same reasons?
I think it would. Yeah.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about that before.
When I was in China, for example, we visited the home of a concert pianist, worked on his piano. He had a Steinway B, and he had bought it in the San Francisco showroom. He went to San Francisco, he liked the piano, and he bought it and had it shipped over to China. It was very difficult and very expensive to do that, but he preferred it to the Hamburg ones that were available to him in China. And it works both ways. There are many pianists in America that want Hamburg Steinways. And so there are crossovers a lot. But the company doesn't make that easy.
I'm going to take a
And-
shot. I'm going to take a shot here at creating a quiz or two for this session. So think about your answers. I'll ask people if they have a preference for New York or Hamburg Steinway. And also, Steinway's like a public company now. I'm actually curious if anybody's running out there buying Steinway stock. And we'll see if we can get some input from the audience, because that'd be interesting. A group of piano technicians, right? Are they paying attention to that?
Another comment I wanted to make is that Steinway has a worldwide reputation. They pretty much have a lock on concert halls throughout the world. And they've built up that reputation over the past 175 years. They've done an excellent job of it. They've edged out their competition on the concert stage for the most part. There are other concert pianos, but Steinway is definitely the dominant one by far. And that's well-deserved, it's well-earned. They make great pianos. Both the New York and the Hamburg that I worked on are fine pianos, great concert pianos. But I just wanted to mention that there are many other great pianos that would serve very well on concert hall stages. And I've had the pleasure to work on many of those too. Many of them have tried to knock Steinway off the concert stage, but none of them have really been successful on a large scale. And that's partly because the Steinway is a great piano, and it's partly because they're a great marketing company too. Some of their marketing attempts are a little heavy-handed and raise a lot of objections, including on my part. For instance, the Steinway has a program called the All Steinway Institution or School, where they solicit an agreement from a school or a concert hall or a conservatory that they will only buy Steinway pianos. And amazingly, they've had a fair amount of success with that too. There are quite a few all Steinway schools. And when the Green Music Center opened, where I worked, they tried to get us to be an all Steinway school. And they managed to convince the administrators that that was a worthwhile thing to do. And that was a constraint that I had to work under, where not only were they obligated to buy Steinways, but I was obligated to only use Steinway parts when doing any kind of replacement, repair, rebuilding. And I kind of bridled under that. That was kind of restrictive. Also, the center had already bought a bunch of new pianos from Yamaha, and they were required, in order to meet the requirements of the old Steinway school, they had to trade in or get rid of these brand new Yamahas, which were beautiful pianos, and replace them all with Steinways. And there was some resentment on my part and the part of some of the administrators about that too. So I'm just bringing that up to kind of give a big picture of what the Steinway Company is all about, what's behind their success, whether it's well-deserved or not, and the kind of situations that come up as a result of some of these policies. So
Points.
if there are any questions or comments before I get started on the slideshow, I'm ready for that too.
I don't see anything popping up, but people are welcome to. Usually it takes them a minute or two to get juiced. But yeah, why don't you get rolling, and we'll cut in if and when necessary.
Okay. So I'm sharing my screen. Hopefully. Oh, wait a minute. It says I'm screen sharing.
You are.
Okay, you got it then?
Uh-huh. Looking good.
The neat rainbow.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's a real photo. Looks like
It's
an
a real
apple
photo
orchard.
I took myself.
Nice.
Waiting for my slow computer to give me a full screen view.
Well, we're piano technicians. We're patient.
Okay, well, I'll start anyway and hope that happens. I just wanted to show this book for anybody interested in the Steinway piano, the Steinway Company, that wants to know in-depth information about it. This book is indispensable, invaluable, written by Roy Keel and David Kirkland. It tells you you can date Steinway's pianos based on, if you don't have a serial number, you can date them based on the decal, the fallboard decal, or even the soundboard decal. It tells you how to distinguish between the various models. How do you know which is an A1 and an A3? What's the difference between a model L and a model O? And lots of interesting facts about the pianos and the company history too.
Yeah. I'd hit the green button on your browser there, Larry. The green one.
Oh,
the top left, those three buttons, hit the green one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Great. Thanks, Morgan.
Sure.
Did that work?
Yeah, that did it.
Aha, nice.
Also, I wanted to show this little chart I made. Whenever an artist came to the Green Center, they were given a choice of the New York or the Hamburg Steinway. I prepared both pianos, and we had them both sitting out on stage, and the artist got to spend half an hour or 2 hours if they wanted. And most of them would go back and forth, try the two, keep going back and forth, and eventually make a choice. And I kept a list of who chose what. So these were the artists and groups that chose the New York Steinway, and these were the ones that chose the Hamburg. The Hamburg has a bigger fan list, but I should say that the New York was in rougher shape when it first arrived, and it took a while to get it up to par. And I think I was successful at bringing it much closer to how the Hamburg was, as far as being a good performing instrument that could project out into the hall. So this list ended at the point when I officially retired, and since then, I think there's a more equal choice between the New York and Hamburg. So now I'll go back to where I left off last time, which I think was not there, right here. So we're starting to look at the system for clamping the action down in place with the key blocks and the fall board and the key slip. And so here we have the treble key block of the New York and of the Hamburg. And I've got green arrows pointing to the different systems used for when you have a situation where the keyframe is knocking against the key bed. The New York uses the tried and true method that's been in place for well over 100 years. When they make the piano, they put a very thin sliver of some kind of fiber material is glued to the front of the key block. If you can see that here. So that if there's some knocking of the keyframe, you simply sand off a little bit of that shim there, which will bring the key block down and put more pressure on the keyframe via this bracket, which presses down on the pin that sticks out at either side of the keyframe. So that's one adjustment you can make. The Hamburg has a somewhat more high-tech and more easily adjustable system, which is this, there's sort of a capstan here, and you can adjust that upward or downward, and that capstan pushes down on this Teflon roller, and the roller pushes down on the key pin at the end. Let me get the to the pictures that show you there. So the capstan inserted through the top will push down on the Teflon roller, and you can adjust the pressure of the capstan by turning this cone-shaped hex screw in or out. So you need to have a hex wrench with you, and you don't have to take it all apart like this, but you do have to remove the key block and to get access to it. The other adjustment that the key blocks allow you to make are for the position of the action towards or away from the pianist. You can affect a pretty substantial change in the tone in the high treble by relocating the action forward or back by as little as a half a millimeter. Can make a huge difference in tone. And that's because you're changing the position of the strike point where the hammer strikes the strings. And up in the high treble where the strings are very short, a change of a half millimeter or a millimeter in where the hammer strikes the string has a big effect on the tone. And you can make major improvements by taking note of that and making such an adjustment. Not so easy to do that on the New York Steinway, which again is using the same system that's been in place for 150 years. This brass clamp pushes down on the pin, which sticks out of the side of the keyframe. And by changing the position of the brass clamp, you can force that pin forward or backward a small amount, which will bring the action in or out. The difficulty with the system is, you see, you have to loosen these 4 screws, and then you see there's a gap here on both sides, which allows you to slide this clamp forward or back a little bit, and then you would retighten the screws in the new position, and then where this clamp fits over that key pin sticking out will change the position of